If I told you that beneath the foundations of the United States, under the quiet soil of Virginia, the crowded streets of Boston, the silent forests of Montana, there lies an interconnected network of forgotten tunnels, encrypted journals, and codes older than the Declaration of Independence, would you believe it? If I told you that several of America's most iconic events, the Boston Massacre, the Louisiana Purchase, even the construction of the Statue of Liberty, were subtly influenced by a shadow group of scholars, explorers, escaped slaves, spies, and native map makers, would that sound like conspiracy? Or the kind of truth that history tries again and again to bury? This is the story of the Obsidian Circle, the most mysterious real group documented only in scattered letters, government archives, and eyewitness accounts across more than 150 years. A society that officially never existed, yet its fingerprints appear everywhere when you follow the evidence closely enough. And our story begins with the man who uncovered it entirely by accident. Chapter 1. The Discovery Under the Floorboards, 1849. The rain fell over Richmond, Virginia, in relentless sheets the night Elias Carter found the first journal. Elias was not a scholar, nor a soldier, nor a man of any importance. He was a carpenter, nothing more, working in an old townhouse near Church Hill. The building had once been owned by a Revolutionary War veteran, Colonel Thaddeus Morgan, but was now falling apart in every corner. Elias pushed his lantern closer to the rotting wooden floorboards he was repairing. The storm outside rattled the windows, and the wind blew cold through the cracks. As he hammered away the warped planks, the floor suddenly collapsed beneath his hands, revealing a narrow, hollow space. Inside it was a leather bag sealed with a wax emblem shaped like a black circle, bisected by a vertical line. He had never seen that symbol before. Curiosity overcame caution. Elias opened the bag. Inside were 3 leather-bound journals, a brass compass unlike anything he'd seen, and a rolled parchment map written in 2 languages, English and what looked like some kind of indigenous script. But the strangest part, the journals were dated 1773, 1802, 1835. 3 different authors, 3 different time periods, 1 identical emblem stamped on them all. Elias lit a second lantern, set the books on the wooden beam beside him, and opened the first one. It began with a line that would change his life forever. If you are reading this, then the Obsidian Circle has failed, or you were chosen to continue the work we began long before the Republic was born. Elias felt the hair rise on the back of his neck. He turned the page. Chapter 2. The First Journal, 1773. The Cartographer's Warning. Penned in December 1773, weeks before the Boston Tea Party, the first journal belonged to Jonathan Hale, a cartographer employed secretly by both the Sons of Liberty and a group he called simply the Circle. Hale's handwriting was steady, deliberate, and strangely modern for the period. His words carried urgency beyond anything Elias had ever read. The journal claimed that beneath the American colonies existed an undocumented system of underground chambers created not by Europeans, but by native tribes thousands of years earlier. Yet the strangest claim was this: these chambers form a map of America long before America was America, long before the nations that built them vanished. Hale wrote that the Circle had discovered one such chamber in Boston in 1768. It housed stone tablets containing warnings about future conflicts, migrations, and events that eerily resemble the coming revolution. He described a triangular stone that, when touched, revealed a faint glowing pattern, something like a star map, but in a configuration no astronomer could match. Elias paused. A strange stone that glowed in the dark in 1768. Surely impossible. Or superstition. Yet the detailed sketch in the journal looked convincing, more scientific than mystical. The entry ended ominously. Someone is hunting us, someone who wants the stones. We must move them before the British discover what lies beneath King Street. The last page contained coordinates. Elias recognized them instantly. They pointed to the exact location of the Boston Massacre site. His heartbeat quickened. What was a secret stone chamber beneath one of the most important moments in American history? And why had no historian ever written about this? Chapter 3. The Brass Compass That Defied Logic. Elias turned to the strange brass compass from the bag. Unlike a normal compass, it had 4 needles, each pointing in different directions, a rotating inner ring with symbols he didn't recognize. And when he held it upright, the glass face fogged slightly and revealed faint markings, almost as if a second map was hidden beneath the surface. He tapped the compass. All 4 needles moved, but none pointed north. The journal explained. The device aligns not with magnetic north, but with the location of the chambers. The closer you are, the faster the 4th needle spins. Elias held his breath. The 4th needle was spinning, slowly but clearly, which meant there was a chamber, in Richmond, under his feet, under the city, under a building he had spent the last 3 weeks repairing. He swallowed hard. The storm thundered once more, louder than before. And Elias Carter realized his life was about to change forever. Chapter 4. The Letters No One Was Meant to Read. The second journal belonged to Amelia Whitlock, one of the first female historians to publish work in early Washington society. Her handwriting was sharper, more scholarly, and filled with sketches of artifacts she claimed were discovered in a chamber near the Mississippi River before the Louisiana Purchase was finalized. She wrote, "President Jefferson knows about the chambers." Elias froze. Jefferson? That Jefferson? Amelia continued, "He has seen the star tablet. He told me that if the public knew what these symbols meant, the Republic would collapse under fear." What symbols? Amelia described 3 tablets, one showing a great migration across America long before colonists arrived, one showing a circular symbol split vertically, identical to the emblem on the journals, one showing a future war, with rough drawings resembling cannon smoke, ships, and a divided nation. Elias stared at that page. A divided nation. Could Amelia have predicted the Civil War? Or was it coincidence? He turned to the last pages, and his throat tightened. Her final entry ended with, "They are watching me. The man with the silver hair from Washington has warned me to stop this research. I am leaving this journal for the Circle. If I do not return, then he found me." Elias closed the book slowly. She never wrote again. There were no more entries after that date. Amelia Whitlock had vanished from historical records without explanation. Chapter 5. The Message from 1835. The last journal was from Noah Ridge, a former enslaved man who escaped through the Underground Railroad and became one of its hidden architects. His writing described something Elias never expected. He wrote, "We are using the ancient chambers as routes to freedom. The tunnels are older than any plantation. They run deeper than any master can imagine." Noah explained that the obsidian circle had reactivated several of the chambers described by Hale and Whitlock. They served as secret escape paths, meeting spots, storage for coded messages, shelters during pursuit. But he also mentioned a threat, something called the Dominion Bureau. He wrote, "They serve no country. They follow no law. Their only purpose is to find the tablets and destroy anyone who has seen them." Elias felt a chill crawl up his spine. At the bottom of the last page, Noah had written a single line, underlined twice. "The fourth chamber is beneath Richmond." Elias stared at the spinning compass needle. It pointed downward, straight beneath the house. The storm rumbled once more, louder than before, and Elias Carter realized his life was about to change forever. Chapter 6. The Staircase No One Had Seen in a Century. The storm raged on above the old Richmond house as Elias Carter crouched beside the hole in the floor. He lifted the lantern and peered deeper into the hollow space. Something metallic glimmered. Elias widened the hole with his hammer and pried up 2 additional boards. A rush of cold air hissed upward, far too cold for a simple crawl space. This was not a storage void. It was an entrance. Beneath the house lay a set of stone steps, covered in dust and roots, descending into a darkness untouched since the early 1800s. Elias whispered the words without thinking. "Professor Whitlock, you were right." He grabbed the compass. The 4th needle spun faster. A confirmation. The chamber truly existed. He took a deep breath, lowered the lantern, and stepped onto the top stair. The wood creaked behind him as if warning him to turn back, but Elias had no intention of stopping. Curiosity had consumed him fully. He descended 1 step, then another, and another. The storm's thunder faded into a distant rumble. The air grew colder, the walls narrower. By the 4th step, Elias knew he was leaving the world he understood and entering the forgotten one the journals had hinted at. 10 steps down, the staircase ended abruptly on a dirt floor. A long, stone-limed corridor stretched ahead. Torches, ancient, unlit, still hung on the walls. Symbols carved into the stone appeared everywhere, identical to those sketched in the journals. A circle split vertically. A set of 5 dots arranged like an arrow. A shape resembling a bird with outspread wings. And beneath them, lines of text in a language Elias had never seen. But the compass recognized this place. The 4th needle spun like a wheel. Elias whispered, "The 4th chamber." He walked deeper. Chapter 7. The Door of Echoes. The tunnel opened into a wider room, its ceiling arching several feet above Elias's head. At the far end stood a massive circular stone door carved from a single slab. In the center glowed the symbol of the obsidian circle, a blackened indentation in the shape of a perfect ring split by a straight vertical line. Even without touching it, Elias felt a faint hum, vibrating through the ground, through the air, through his bones. He brought the lantern closer. The carving around the door showed shapes and figures: native hunters carrying star-shaped stones, priests or scholars examining constellations, a group of people burying tablets deep underground, and finally, a group of colonists discovering the same chambers centuries later. History repeating itself. Elias pressed his hand to the cold stone. A low, hollow echo rang out, as if the door were not solid, but hollow inside. Then a click. Another. The compass needles jerked violently. Elias jumped back just as the circular door began to rotate, not pushing inward or outward, but rolling sideways along a hidden track like an enormous millstone. Dust spilled across the floor. The chamber beyond revealed itself. Elias raised the lantern higher and gasped. Chapter 8. The Star Chamber of Richmond. The room inside was circular, roughly 30 feet across, with walls covered entirely in glowing mineral veins, faint, bluish, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. In the center stood a pedestal, and atop it, exactly as Hale described, lay a triangular tablet carved with star patterns. But this tablet glowed, not brightly, but enough that it lit the pedestal beneath it. Elias approached cautiously. The stone tablet was covered in star constellations, lines connecting them, and a set of concentric circles arranged around a central point. But the most shocking part, the central point was labeled with a symbol that looked unmistakably like North America. Not modern America, but some form of prehistoric mapping system pointing at its future shape. Elias's heart pounded. How could they know the continent's outlines? He touched the edge of the tablet. A warm pulse traveled through his fingertips. The glowing stone responded to contact, illuminating one circle after another. When his fingers brushed the third circle, a faint holographic shimmer rose above the tablet. Not a vision, not magic, but light interacting with minerals like a primitive projection. Elias staggered back. The projection displayed something terrifying, a map of America splitting into two warring regions. One side marked with flame-like symbols, the other with star-like ones. He recognized it immediately. The division matched the Civil War maps he'd seen in history books. Elias whispered, "This stone predicted the future." His hands shook. The journals had hinted at this, but seeing it with his own eyes crushed every doubt. This wasn't superstition. This wasn't coincidence. This was a recorded prophecy. But before Elias could absorb what he had discovered, his lantern flickered. The flames dimmed.
Chapter 9. Footsteps in the Dark. Soft crunching sounds echoed behind him, footsteps on gravel and loose stone. Elias extinguished the lantern quickly and crouched behind a pillar at the chamber's edge. He held his breath. The footsteps descended the stairway, slow, deliberate, confident. A lantern flickered at the entrance. A male voice echoed softly, "So, you really did find it." Elias's stomach dropped. He recognized that voice. It belonged to Arthur Kincaid, the wealthy businessman who owned the property and had hired Elias to repair it. But Kincaid wasn't speaking to Elias. Someone else stood beside him. Footsteps lighter, a sharper voice. "Are you sure he has the journals?" Kincaid said, "Positive. The Dominion Bureau wants the tablets before the circle interferes again." Elias felt a cold sweat bead across his forehead. The Dominion Bureau. Exactly what Noah Ridge had warned of in the 1835 journal. They weren't gone. They were active, still seeking the chambers, still hunting. Kincaid raised the lantern high. The triangular tablet's glow intensified, as if responding to the newcomer's presence. The second man stepped forward. Elias glimpsed his silhouette. Tall, wearing a long coat, a thin rod or cane in one hand. His voice was calm, educated, but chilling. "This is the fourth chamber. That means the other three are active as well. We can't let this get out, not again. Seal it, remove the tablet, burn the journals." Kincaid nodded. "Yes, sir." Elias's heartbeat thundered in his ears. They were going to steal the tablet, destroy the journals, erase every trace of the circle and its discoveries. And then there was the most terrifying part. They intended to kill the only witness. Kincaid added, "The carpenter is still inside. I'll take care of him." The second man replied coldly, "Make it clean. No body, no trace." Elias caught his breath. He had seconds to decide. Stay hidden and risk being trapped. Run deeper into the chamber, or confront them head-on with nothing but a lantern and a spinning compass. He glanced at the tablet. The projection still hovered, flickering, now as if reacting to tension in the room. He grabbed the triangular stone with both hands. It was warm, almost too warm, and at the moment he lifted it, the entire chamber shook.
Chapter 10. The Awakening of the Chamber. The glowing veins in the walls flared bright blue. Dust rained from the ceiling. A deep rumbling filled the chamber. Kincaid shouted, "What did he do?" The tall man hissed, "He triggered it! Run!" Elias clutched the stone tablet and sprinted toward the rear tunnel, a passage he had not noticed before. The chamber door began closing automatically behind him, ancient mechanisms grinding, sealing the room. The Dominion agents lunged forward, but the circular door slammed shut, locking them out. Elias felt the chamber floor tilt. Something massive was shifting beneath Richmond. Machinery buried hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago, awakening from dormancy. He ran. The compass needles spun wildly. The lantern in his free hand shook violently. Behind him, the thudding began, fists pounding on the sealed stone door. Kincaid roared, "Carter, you can't escape us!" Elias didn't look back. He kept running deeper into the dark passage, breath ragged, legs trembling, the triangular stone burning hot in his grip. He had only one thought now. The obsidian circle had chosen him, and the Dominion Bureau was hunting him. Somewhere ahead, a faint breeze brushed his face. Fresh air, an exit. Elias followed it desperately. But before he reached the end of the tunnel, he saw something that stopped him dead in his tracks. A second chamber. And inside it lay an artifact that should not exist. Not in 1849, not in America, not anywhere. Chapter 11. The Artifact That Should Not Exist. Elias froze at the entrance of the second chamber. If the first room had been ancient, this one felt impossible. His lantern's trembling light revealed a domed chamber with walls smoother than polished marble, yet clearly carved centuries before European settlement. The air inside was warmer, almost humming with a faint vibration. But what stopped Elias cold, what stole the breath from his lungs, was the object standing at the center. A tall metallic structure made of material he couldn't identify. Silvery gray, seamless, perfectly smooth. Something between a pillar, a tuning fork, and a monolithic antenna. But this couldn't be. This metal, this precision, this engineering. It looked modern, far too modern. Elias stepped closer slowly, heart pounding. The triangular star tablet still pulsed warm in his hand. As he approached the metallic structure, the tablet reacted, glowing brighter, resonating with the strange monolith. The chamber vibrated. Elias whispered, almost trembling, "What are you?" He reached out a hand and touched the metal. It felt warm, alive. And at the moment his skin made contact, the monolith ignited with light. Pale white lines raced across its surface like veins awakening. A deep harmonic hum filled the chamber, so low it rattled Elias's ribs. Then a projection flickered above the monolith, not from magic, not from imagination, but from some form of ancient, mineral-based optical technology. The projection displayed a map of America, but not the America of 1849, not one Elias recognized. This map showed borders shifted, coastlines altered, states missing, and strange symbols marking key locations. Elias stumbled backward. The projection zoomed in on Richmond, exactly where he stood. A glowing circle pulsed beneath it. Then text appeared around the circle in a flowing, archaic script. But beneath the ancient symbols, the projection translated itself. Fourth compass node activated. Elias's blood chilled. Compass node. The journals mentioned compass-like devices made by the circle. But this map, this technology, how could it exist in a chamber built thousands of years ago? Before he could think further, the monolith projection changed again. This time, it showed people, rough silhouettes, not detailed. A group of native elders carving star stones. A band of early colonists discovering these chambers. The obsidian circle meeting in candle-lit rooms. And finally, men in dark coats carrying torches, their faces concealed. Elias recognized them. The Dominion Bureau. The silhouette showed these men destroying chambers, burning stone tablets, hunting members of the circle. Then the projection displayed the chilling final message. If the fourth node opens, the fifth shall awaken. Before he could decipher it, a sound shattered the chamber's peace. A distant explosion. Dust rained down. Elias spun around. He knew the sound. Gunpowder. Forced entry. The Dominion Bureau had blown open the sealed door. They were inside. Chapter 12. A Deadly Pursuit. Elias extinguished the lantern instantly. The chamber plunged into darkness, except for the faint glow of the monolith veins. He pressed himself against the wall, breathing silently. Footsteps echoed through the tunnel behind him. Dozens of them. Not just Kincaid, not just the tall man. A whole team. A commanding voice shouted, "He's down here! Spread out!" Elias gripped the triangular tablet tighter. He had to think. He had to escape. But the chamber had only one entrance, the tunnel behind him, now filled with Dominion agents. He was trapped. Unless... Elias glanced at the monolith again. If the fourth node had been activated, then maybe, just maybe, there was another exit. He pressed his hand against the monolith again. The lines of light rippled outward like water. The chamber's floor rumbled. A section of stone behind the monolith shifted, opening into a narrow, slanted passage, almost invisible unless you knew it existed. A secret escape route. Elias didn't hesitate. He ran. Behind him, Dominion agents burst into the main chamber. One yelled, "He took the tablet! After him!" Gunshots cracked through the chamber, bullets sparking off stone. Elias sprinted down the slanted passage, heart hammering, the triangular stone tablet burning hot at his side. The passage twisted sharply downward. The Dominion Bureau's footsteps thundered behind him. Another gunshot. Stone shattered beside his shoulder. Elias dove round a corner just as the passage opened into a third chamber, smaller, low-ceilinged, but with a massive stone slab on the ground, covered in markings. The compass needles spun like wild insects. The triangular tablet glowed violently now, almost blinding. Then Elias saw what the floor slab depicted: a map of tunnels, dozens of them, running beneath Richmond, Washington, Philadelphia, Boston, connecting all four chambers mentioned in the journals. A hidden network. A realization struck Elias. These tunnels weren't random. They were designed for escape, for communication, for protection, for the circle. And now he stood in the heart of the network. A Dominion agent shouted from the tunnel behind him, "There he is!" Elias looked down at the glowing map. One path was lit on the stone, leading north to Washington. He took a deep breath, clutched the tablet, and leapt into the tunnel marked with the glowing line. Behind him, Dominion agents roared in fury. Elias ran, not just for his life, but for the truth buried beneath America for centuries. And this was only the beginning. Chapter 13. Into the Labyrinth. Elias ran blindly through the narrow, winding passage. The triangular star tablet pulsed in his hands, almost like a heartbeat syncing with his own. Every twist and turn brought him deeper into the hidden veins beneath Richmond, tunnels that no map had ever recorded, except in the journals of the Obsidian Circle. The walls here were carved stone, smoothed by centuries of unseen hands. Ancient symbols glowed faintly along the surface, responding to the proximity of the tablet. Elias felt a shiver of awe. This was more than just history. This was a living archive. Behind him, the Dominion Bureau agents shouted and cursed, their lanterns swinging dangerously, casting moving shadows that danced along the walls. Their pursuit was relentless. Elias pressed forward, guided only by the glowing tablet and the spinning fourth needle of his brass compass. The Journal of Noah Ridge had warned him about this. The tunnels weren't linear. They twisted, doubled back, and sometimes seemed to vanish into solid rock, only to reappear through secret openings. He approached a fork in the tunnel. One path was narrow, low-ceilinged, but the compass needle pointed straight ahead. The other sloped slightly upward. He hesitated for a fraction of a second, and that fraction might have saved his life. A gunshot rang out from behind. Stone splintered. The narrow passage seemed to close in on him. Instinct took over. Elias darted into the path the compass indicated. Chapter 14. The Chamber of Mirrors. The tunnel opened into a chamber unlike anything Elias had imagined. The walls, floor, and ceiling were covered with highly reflective metal plates, mirror-like, yet ancient. The triangular tablet pulsed fiercely, and its light bounced off the surfaces, creating an eerie kaleidoscopic pattern. Elias paused, trying to orient himself. Every reflection multiplied the Dominion agents chasing him. He could hear them entering the first fork of the tunnel. The chamber was designed to confuse intruders. Ancient engineers, whether native, colonial, or circle members, had created a labyrinth that could manipulate perception. The mirrored surfaces reflected the faint glowing lines of the tunnel network projected from the tablet, forming a shimmering map across the walls. Elias realized that the key wasn't just speed, it was observation. The tablet, pulsing, seemed to highlight the correct path. A faint line traced along the floor reflections. He followed it, crouching, crawling, and stepping carefully to avoid detection. A misstep could make him visible in the mirrored reflections. A misstep could be fatal. The chamber went on for what felt like an eternity. Elias glimpsed a faint doorway marked by the circle's black split circle symbol. Beyond it, he thought he saw open air, or perhaps the next chamber. He hurried. Chapter 15. A shocking revelation. The doorway opened into a room much larger than the previous ones. Here he could finally stand upright, and he gasped. Before him lay the fifth node, a massive stone construct, nearly 10 feet tall, covered in inscriptions and carved constellations. Unlike the fourth node, this one was stationary, anchored into the floor. The triangular tablet reacted violently, vibrating in his hands. Light shot from it toward the fifth node. The inscriptions on the stone shimmered, revealing a timeline of America far more detailed than any history book could provide. It was staggering. It included the founding of Jamestown and Plymouth, colonial uprisings and wars, the Revolutionary War battles with troop movements no historian had recorded, the Louisiana Purchase and westward expansion, the Civil War with intricate details of strategies and battles, events that hadn't happened yet in 1849. And then he saw something that made his blood run cold. A depiction of a divided nation engulfed in civil war, followed by global conflicts that threatened the very structure of the United States. The fifth mode wasn't just a map. It was a predictive archive built to record the past and warn about the future. Elias realized the Obsidian Circle hadn't just been preserving history. They had been guardians of knowledge, preparing for events long before anyone else could.
Chapter 16. The Dominion Bureau closes in. The sound of footsteps echoed behind him. Elias froze. The Dominion agents had tracked him through the labyrinth. He could hear Kincaid's voice. "Do not let him touch the fifth node!" The metallic clatter of gunfire followed. Elias dove behind the fifth node, the tablet glowing fiercely in his hands. He realized he had one chance: activate the fifth node fully or be captured and lose the knowledge forever. He placed the tablet in a carved recess at the base of the node. The stone shuddered. Light surged, filling the chamber. A loud harmonic resonance shook the tunnels. The Dominion agents hesitated, shielding their eyes. The inscriptions on the node began to project outward, a three-dimensional map of the entire continent, with tunnels, hidden chambers, and secret locations glowing in a web-like pattern. Elias finally understood the nodes were connected. Activating the fifth would protect the fourth and all previous chambers, creating a defensive network of hidden knowledge. The Dominion Bureau couldn't destroy it now, not without losing themselves in the labyrinth. Chapter 17. Escape Through History. Elias used the newly revealed projection map to navigate. He saw a path leading to the surface several miles from the original entrance, avoiding the agents. He ran through tunnels previously hidden from all but the circle. Ancient markings guided him. Glowing veins in the stone walls responded to the tablet. As he neared the exit, he glimpsed more projections of history, ancient settlements, hidden forts, secret caches of weapons, journals, and artifacts. The Obsidian Circle had recorded everything. And now, for the first time in nearly a century, one man had access.
Elias emerged into a forest clearing just beyond Richmond, panting and dirty, but alive. The Dominion Bureau never found him. The tablet had guided him to safety. He looked back at the darkened forest, and a sense of awe and fear settled over him. He now held America's hidden history, and with it the knowledge to protect it. But Elias knew the story was far from over. Somewhere out there, the Dominion Bureau would regroup, and the Obsidian Circle, they would reveal themselves only when the time was right. For now, Elias had survived, but the centuries-old secrets beneath America had only just begun to awaken. Chapter 18. Return to the Shadows. After emerging into the forest clearing beyond Richmond, Elias Carter took a long, shivering breath of the cold air. The storm had passed. Moonlight reflected off the wet leaves, illuminating a path that led toward the river. The triangular tablet pulsed softly in his hands, as if it were aware that its task was far from over. He had survived the Dominion Bureau, escaped the fifth node, and glimpsed secrets that could rewrite history. But there were still unanswered questions. Who had built the Obsidian Circle originally? How many nodes existed in total? And why was the Bureau willing to kill to suppress this knowledge? Elias's curiosity burned brighter than fear. He realized the fourth and fifth nodes were only part of the network. The journal sketches, the compass, and the tunnels hinted at least 3 more nodes scattered across the continent, hidden in places that spanned from Boston to the deep forests of Montana. He would need help. Scholars, historians, and cryptographers, but whom could he trust? Chapter 19. Contact with the Past. The next morning, Elias Carter made his way to the Richmond Historical Society. Under the pretense of researching colonial architecture, he requested access to old maps, letters, and archives. His real goal was to trace any clues left by the Obsidian Circle. Hours of poring over manuscripts revealed subtle patterns. Symbols etched into colonial buildings matched the ones in the journals. Letters from unknown correspondents hinted at meetings of secret scholars. Maps contained strange annotations of rivers, forests, and hills, sometimes crossing state lines in ways that made no sense for their era. He discovered one letter, dated 1827, from Amelia Whitlock, hidden in an archive mislabeled as personal correspondence. It read, "The Obsidian Circle cannot act openly. The fifth node remains dormant, but its activation will protect all others. If you find this, know that you are chosen to preserve what centuries of history have sought to erase." Elias felt a chill. The choice was now his. The burden of centuries rested on his shoulders. Chapter 20. The Hunt Begins Again. Word had spread faster than he imagined. The Dominion Bureau had discovered the disturbance at the Richmond tunnels. Within days, he noticed unfamiliar faces following him through the city, anonymous letters with threats slipped under doors, and even cryptic symbols carved into trees near his temporary lodging. Elias realized he could no longer act openly. The Obsidian Circle had always operated in the shadows, and he would need to do the same. Using the tablet and compass, he identified the next node location, near the forests of western Pennsylvania, a region rich in abandoned colonial forts and hidden caves. He packed carefully: journals, the tablet, compass, lanterns, and maps. He would travel light, avoid main roads, and trust only the network of hidden routes marked on the projections from the fifth node. As he departed Richmond under the cover of night, Elias could feel the weight of centuries pressing against him. Every shadow, every rustle of leaves could be a watcher from the Bureau. Every decision might tip the balance of history itself.
Chapter 21. The Forgotten Fort. After 2 days of travel, using old railway beds, forest paths, and hidden river crossings, Elias arrived at an abandoned colonial fort near the Pennsylvania wilderness.
The fort had been used in the Revolutionary War, but had been forgotten by history. Its stones were moss-covered, its wooden gates splintered and rotting. The tablet pulsed as he entered. The compass needles spun wildly, indicating proximity to another node. Elias carefully examined the floor, walls, and nearby caves. Hidden beneath the fort, he found a trap door concealed under a stone slab. The compass pointed directly downward. He descended into the darkness, lantern in hand, heart pounding. The underground chamber, he discovered, was smaller than the fifth node, but contained a circular platform inscribed with astrological symbols and geometric patterns similar to those in the Richmond tunnels. A glowing artifact rested at the center, a sphere carved from obsidian and etched with indecipherable symbols. When Elias touched it, the chamber lights reacted. Lines traced across the floor like rivers, leading outward to unknown locations. The sphere seemed to contain a map of the obsidian circle's hidden network, revealing nodes, tunnels, and chambers across the continent. Elias realized he was only beginning to understand the scale of the obsidian circle's influence. Chapter 22: A Legacy Unearthed. The obsidian circle had left these nodes not merely as hiding places, but as living repositories of knowledge. Strategies for survival, maps of hidden routes, predictive warnings of conflicts and disasters, symbols encoding centuries of scientific and cultural information. Elias also discovered clues indicating that the circle had assisted escaped slaves, guided revolutionary efforts, and even influenced early scientific discoveries in America. Yet, for all its power, the circle had remained invisible. Its members erased themselves from records, leaving only subtle hints in journals, symbols, and artifacts. And now, Elias held the key to continuing that work. But danger was far from over. The Dominion Bureau would not give up. And as Elias began cataloging the artifacts, he understood the most crucial rule of the Obsidian Circle. Knowledge must be protected at all costs, even life itself. Chapter 23: The Path North. Elias left the Pennsylvania forest at first light. He knew the Dominion Bureau would track every possible route, so he avoided roads and towns, using rivers, hidden trails, and the old tunnels indicated by the fifth node's projection. The compass's fourth needle spun like a beacon, guiding him. Every pulse was a warning, a direction, and an encouragement. He realized he wasn't just following a map, he was following centuries of hidden planning. After 2 nights of careful travel, Elias reached the outskirts of upstate New York. The tablet pulsed, stronger than ever, signaling proximity to another node. Chapter 24: The Boston Massacre Connection. The tablet led him to an old abandoned warehouse in Boston, directly over the site of the infamous Boston Massacre. Elias remembered Jonathan Hale's journal from 1773. Hale had mentioned a chamber beneath King Street with stone tablets revealing secrets about the Revolution and future conflicts. He pried open a rusted trapdoor hidden beneath debris. The tunnel descended sharply, damp and cold. Symbols etched into the walls matched those he'd seen in Richmond and Pennsylvania. At the end of the passage, he discovered a chamber lined with stone tablets. One tablet depicted the Boston Massacre, but the engraving included coded symbols showing troop positions, secret escape routes, and locations of hidden weapons, information historians had never recorded. The triangular star tablet reacted violently when brought close, projecting star maps over the Boston skyline. Elias realized the Obsidian Circle had been using this chamber to predict and influence pivotal events during the Revolution. As Elias studied the tablets, footsteps echoed above the warehouse. The Dominion Bureau had discovered his path. Elias knew he couldn't fight them directly. He had survived by using shadows, speed, and the underground network. He descended further into a secret corridor, guided by the glowing veins from the tablets. The projection from the star tablet indicated a hidden exit through the old harbor tunnels. Gunfire shattered the quiet. The agents had entered. Elias sprinted along the labyrinthine passageways beneath Boston, barely keeping ahead of them. The tablet pulsed, as if urging him forward. The compass needle spun wildly. He followed their invisible map, leading to a concealed sewer outlet near the Charles River. He emerged onto the riverbank, breathless, soaked, but alive. Once again, the Dominion Bureau had failed to capture him. Chapter 26. Secret Allies. Exhausted, Elias retreated to a safe house previously used by the Circle. Hidden in the woods outside Boston, he met an elderly historian named Margaret Kinsley, a descendant of the original Circle members. Margaret had been expecting him. She revealed that the Obsidian Circle had deliberately selected Elias to carry the knowledge forward, to activate nodes, and to preserve the secret network. She gave him maps of other potential nodes in the Midwest and along the Mississippi, coded messages left by previous Circle members. A warning: the Bureau will not stop until every node is controlled or destroyed. Elias realized the stakes were even higher than he thought. Protecting history meant evading a relentless organization willing to kill to erase it. Margaret handed him a small leather-bound journal. Inside were entries from members of the Circle spanning 200 years, stories of revolutions, escapes, and warnings about the future. History is a chain. Protect the links, or all will break.
Chapter 27. The Mississippi River Node. Guided by Margaret and the Fifth Node projections, Elias traveled west to the Mississippi River region. In an abandoned cave hidden behind a waterfall, he discovered the next chamber. This node was dedicated to migration patterns and future conflicts along the river. Inside, he found detailed carvings of native tribes, European settlers, escaped slaves, and secret trade routes. The chamber contained another obsidian sphere, similar to the Pennsylvania node, which projected detailed maps of the Midwest, showing paths of trade, escape, and strategic movement. The triangular tablet reacted again, connecting the nodes together. Elias understood. The Circle had created a continent-wide network, capable of guiding future generations safely through chaos. But the Dominion Bureau was closing in. He could feel it. Agents were already tracking disturbances in the tunnels. Time was running out. Elias now stood at the crossroads of history and survival. Each node he activated brought him closer to understanding the Obsidian Circle's ultimate goal, but also closer to the Bureau's grasp. The network of hidden knowledge beneath America was awakening, and Elias had only begun to uncover its secrets. Chapter 28. Westward to the Rockies. After the Mississippi River node, Elias knew his journey would take him into the Rocky Mountains, where the remaining nodes were said to be hidden. The fifth node's projection indicated two more locations, one in the rugged Montana wilderness and the other deep within the Colorado Rockies. Traveling light and avoiding main roads, Elias used old railroad lines, forest paths, and hidden trails marked by previous Circle members. Every night, the triangular tablet glowed, guiding him north and west. The wilderness was unforgiving. Snowstorms swept through high passes, and treacherous cliffs threatened every step. But Elias pressed forward, driven by a singular purpose: to activate all the nodes and fully awaken the Obsidian Circle's network. Chapter 30. The Montana Node. After days of hiking, Elias arrived at an abandoned mining town in Montana, half buried in snow and ice. The compass needle spun violently, indicating he was very close to the next node. He explored the deserted cabins and found a hidden entrance beneath the old sheriff's office. A narrow stairwell led into a cavern deep underground. Inside, he discovered a chamber unlike any before. The walls were covered in etched timelines of the American West, showing indigenous tribes and their movements, gold rush settlements, railroad expansions, secret forts and military campaigns. At the center of the room stood a crystalline obelisk. Touching it caused the tablet to pulse and project a holographic map overlay of the West, showing hidden trails, fortifications, and migration paths. Elias realized this node contained strategic knowledge, likely used by the Circle to protect vulnerable populations throughout American history. As he cataloged the chamber, he felt the unmistakable vibration of footsteps approaching. The Dominion Bureau was relentless. Chapter 30. The Ambush. The agents had tracked disturbances in the underground tunnels. Elias barely had time to hide. He crouched behind the crystalline obelisk as a team of Bureau operatives entered the chamber, scanning for movement. One agent, recognizing the triangular tablet, shouted, "He's here! Don't let him leave with the artifacts!" Elias held his breath, letting the agents move past. Using the holographic map projected from the obelisk, he identified a secret exit tunnel leading northward through a narrow fissure. He squeezed through the tight passage, slipping past the agents who searched blindly in the cavern. Dust and snow from above covered his trail. Once outside, Elias looked back and knew the abandoned Montana mining town wouldn't stay that way long. The Bureau would regroup. Chapter 31. The Colorado Node. Following the projection, Elias made his way to the Colorado Rockies. The journey was brutal. Snow, steep cliffs, and treacherous terrain slowed him down. But the triangular tablet pulsed brighter with every step, pointing the way. He found the entrance hidden behind a waterfall in a narrow canyon. Inside, the chamber was enormous, with vaulted ceilings and walls engraved with celestial maps. At the center stood the final node, a massive black stone circle with carvings that linked all other nodes together. When Elias touched it, the triangular tablet reacted violently. Light shot through the chamber, illuminating all 5 nodes simultaneously. The projections merged, a continent-wide network of tunnels, chambers, and hidden knowledge, spanning from Richmond to the Rockies, all interconnected and activated. For the first time, Elias saw the Obsidian Circle's true purpose: to preserve the hidden history of America, to protect vulnerable communities, to predict and prevent disasters, to guide future generations with knowledge that would otherwise be lost. Chapter 32. The Obscured Truth. Elias stood in awe as the network projected a map of America filled with nodes, symbols, and encoded knowledge. The circle had not only influenced history, they had shaped it. But he realized the danger was far from over. The Dominion Bureau had followed him to Montana and Colorado. They had failed to capture him so far, but now they would know the full scale of the Circle's power. Elias clenched the triangular tablet, feeling its pulse sync with the 5th node. He spoke steadily. "You'll never understand what you found here, Kincaid. This knowledge isn't yours to control." Kincaid smirked. "Knowledge belongs to those who have the will to seize it." The tension was palpable. Outside, the wind howled through the mountains, rattling the chamber doors. The triangular tablet glowed brighter than ever, illuminating symbols across the black stone floor. Chapter 34. The Awakening. As Kincaid stepped forward, Elias pressed the triangular tablet into the carved recess of the final node. A surge of light exploded from the stone circle. The chamber trembled. Lines of energy traced from node to node, projecting across the continent. The Bureau agents stumbled back, shielding their eyes. The triangular tablet's pulse synced with the nodes. Suddenly, ancient glyphs etched in the walls began to glow. The obsidian circle's hidden messages came alive. Secrets of revolutionary battles, hidden routes for escaped slaves, strategies to protect settlements, predictions of conflicts yet to come. All this knowledge, encoded for centuries, now streamed into Elias's mind. Kincaid shouted, "Stop it! You don't know what you're doing!" But Elias did know. He had studied the journals, followed the nodes, and now understood the circle's purpose. This power was not for domination. It was for preservation, protection, and guidance. Chapter 35. The Decisive Strike. Kincaid lunged toward Elias. The triangular tablet responded violently, emitting a blinding light. The black stone floor vibrated, and the chamber seemed to shift. The Dominion agents scrambled. Some stumbled into hidden recesses. Others fled as hidden stone panels activated, separating the chamber into sections. Elias felt the energy of the nodes coursing through him. He realized the final node was more than a repository. It was a defensive mechanism, designed to protect knowledge from those who would misuse it. Kincaid reached for the tablet, but before he could touch it, a beam of light shot from the fifth node, knocking him backward. He hit the stone wall, groaning in pain. Elias seized the moment, pressing the tablet fully into the node. The projections expanded outward, enveloping the Dominion agents in a holographic maze of history. They could see the battles, the escapes, the secret networks, but the knowledge was incomprehensible to them. They ran in panic, lost in the illusions created by centuries-old engineering. Elias stood firm. The nodes were secure. The circle's legacy survived. Chapter 36. The Obscure Legacy. In the silence that followed, Elias surveyed the projections. For the first time, he could see the full scope of the Obsidian Circle's work. Every major historical event in America had traces of their influence. Secret routes had saved countless lives. Knowledge had been preserved in stone, metal, and mineral projections. The nodes formed a network that could guide future generations, protect communities, and prevent disasters. Elias realized the final truth. The Obsidian Circle had shaped history quietly, deliberately, and invisibly, ensuring that the knowledge of the past could survive into the future. He took a deep breath. The nodes would continue to pulse with life, guided by the tablet and by anyone chosen to protect them. He was now the guardian. The circle had entrusted him, and he would honor that responsibility. The Dominion Bureau had been defeated, but not for now. But Elias knew they would return. They always did. History, however, had a new protector, and the hidden chronicles of America were alive. Chapter 37. The Aftermath. Elias emerged from the Colorado chamber as the first rays of dawn streaked across the Rockies. The triangular tablet pulsed faintly, now in perfect sync with all 5 nodes. A sense of calm settled over him for the first time since Richmond. The Dominion Bureau had retreated, defeated but not destroyed. Elias knew they would regroup, but for now he had time to reflect. He traced the node's projections across the continent, from Richmond to Boston, Pennsylvania to Montana, and finally Colorado. The network was now fully activated. It was more than a map. It was a living record of America's hidden history, a testament to the Obsidian Circle's centuries of work. For the first time, Elias understood he wasn't just a survivor. He was now the guardian of history itself.
Chapter 38. Contact with the Circle. Back at the safe house in Boston, Elias met Margaret Kinsley once more. She had been in touch with other descendants of the Obsidian Circle. "We've watched you, Elias," she said quietly. "You've done what none before could. The Circle trusts you now." Elias nodded. "What happens next?" Margaret smiled faintly. "Now the Circle can rebuild. Hidden knowledge must continue to be preserved, but only in safe hands. And the nodes, they will choose the next guardians, as they always have." Elias felt the weight of responsibility settled on his shoulders. This was no longer about running or hiding. It was about protecting knowledge, guiding history, and ensuring the lessons of the past were never lost. Chapter 39. The Future of the Nodes. Over the next weeks, Elias worked to catalog the chambers and nodes. He documented every symbol, every projection, every hidden passage. Each node had its own secrets, designed to teach, protect, and guide. He realized the Obsidian Circle's greatest gift was not just the preservation of history, but the power to shape the future responsibly. The nodes could warn of conflicts, reveal hidden truths, and provide guidance for generations. But they could also be misused. That was why the guardianship mattered. Elias vowed to train carefully, to study the knowledge fully, and to prepare for the inevitable return of the Dominion Bureau. Chapter 40. The Guardian of History. Standing atop a cliff in Colorado, overlooking the Rockies, Elias held the triangular tablet one last time. The nodes pulsed softly, synchronized across the continent. He whispered a vow. "I will protect the hidden chronicles. I will guard the past so the future can be free. The Circle's work will endure, and history will never be lost again." Below him, the forest stretched endlessly, filled with secrets, tunnels, and chambers that had witnessed centuries of America's hidden story. For Elias Carter, the journey was far from over, but the nodes were awake. The Obsidian Circle's legacy was alive, and for the first time he felt the weight of time itself resting in his hands, and the courage to carry it forward. Epilogue. A New Beginning. In the years that followed, Elias continued to explore, protect, and understand the nodes. He secretly helped historians, descendants of the Circle, and even communities in danger, using the guidance hidden in the chambers. The Dominion Bureau remained a threat, lurking in shadows, but Elias was always one step ahead. The hidden chronicles of America were no longer just stories. They were living lessons, carefully preserved, quietly guiding the nation from the past into the future. And in the quiet of the chambers, under the mountains, forests, and cities of America, the nodes pulsed steadily, as they always had, waiting for the next guardian. Elias smiled. History was safe.